You want to start your health and wellness journey. You want to feel better, you want to have more energy, you want to get rid of all the inflammation, the knee pain, the back pain, the ankle pain, the foot pain, right? And you want to lose some weight. And yet you've been hearing about keto for a while, but you're not quite sure if it's for you. Or you might have seen your sister's ex-boyfriend lose weight and keep it off. And now he's feeling better and looking better than he's ever looked, right? So all these things are happening. You're like, is this for me? Should I be doing keto? If you do decide that keto is for you, I'm gonna share with you my top 9 tips for starting your keto journey. How to do it the right way, how to actually lose the weight and keep it off this time, feel better, have more energy, and do what you need to do. So why am I the one that's sharing it? All right, in case you don't know me, if this is your first time, let me quickly introduce yourself. My name is Ileka Falette, and I am a badass. I gotta say, right? Who says that? I do, right? So we should all be calling ourselves badasses because you are amazing at something. So anyways, I'm gonna share with you what I did. 8 years ago, I was walking around at about 350 pounds, something like that. I'm a mom of 4, and I kind of walked a little bent over. My knees were bad, my back was always hurting. I had plantar fasciitis in both feet and arthritis in both knees. I was in pain, and I was walking like I was twice my age, right? Maybe even more than that. Anyways, I'm a mom of 4. So I had 4 little kids. At the time, they were ages 2 to 8, okay? My babies were seeing me like this every day. And I was only like 35, 36 years old. So I knew I needed to make a change. And that change was starting keto. But here's the thing. I remember at the time, there wasn't a lot of information about keto out there. Now there's a ton, and so it feels like you're getting all this information and you don't know what's right. So I wanna share with you what I've done. And after I lost 120 pounds in about a year on keto, what I did was I helped thousands of women do the exact same thing. And many of them kept it off for good. But here's the thing. There's some extra things we gotta do to keep it off for good this time. Because we can lose the weight. How many times have you lost the weight? I know I've lost the weight a ton of times, right? But it's about losing it and keeping it off for good. So I'm gonna share with you my 9 top tips for losing weight on keto, starting the journey correctly, and keeping it off for good. All right, so let's get going. All right, tip 1. First thing is, do your research, all right? I know that's kind of cliche, but here's the thing. You gotta do your research. The reason that, your cousin's sister's best friend gained the weight back because she was probably doing something that didn't necessarily align and wasn't right? Or you've heard this person, that person, your aunt told you that she did keto and her cholesterol went up and now she has to be on cholesterol medication, or all these other things that we hear. But I'm telling you, when you do your research and you do that before you get started, you can actually avoid all those, misfires and mistakes that other people had to make, right? Because there's lots of information out there, and it's really important when you're changing and shifting the way that you eat. It's really important that you see, number 1, is this right for you? Does this work for you? And number 2, how to do this thing correctly. So I'm gonna share a lot of information on how to do it correctly, but also do your research. It's super important. Finish watching this video. That's gonna be part of your research, all right? So watch this to the end, because I'm also gonna be giving some great tips, some great tricks, and some amazing free gifts, all right? So watch to the end. So number 1 is do your research, because you wanna ensure that when you're getting started, you're doing it right, all right? Now, tip number 2. Tip number 2 is eat real food. Let me say that again for the folks in the back. Eat real food, all right? Because here's the thing. You see so many keto foods out there. Now remember, I said I started keto over 8 years ago, almost 8 years ago. And when I started, there wasn't all these things where you can walk into Costco or Target and see keto listed on every item, right? So I didn't eat that stuff. I never started eating that stuff, and I still don't eat that stuff. The reason I don't eat that is because many times it's not good for you. All right, that stuff has tons of preservatives and a bunch of crap in it. Much of it has like 16 ingredients and they start with like an X and a Z, right? Like things that you can't even pronounce. If you can't pronounce it, probably shouldn't be eating it. So get rid of all of that crap, right? And eat real foods. When we talk about real foods, what I always told my clients when I was a weight loss coach, because I help thousands of women, what I always told my clients was eat what comes from the earth, walks on the earth, and the sea. I remember I was working with Black Carnivore, and that's something that she talked about all the time, right? And I was like, that is exactly it. Like I was using it as just eat real food. But if you think about it in the sense of what walks on the earth, comes from the earth, and the sea, that's it. You're eating real stuff. You're not eating those things that have 17 letters in it and starts with an X. We don't even know what that is. So you're not eating it. You're eating real foods. When we eat real foods, our bodies process it better, our digestion is better, our gut health is better. All of these things, we have more energy because it's what the body actually needs and it wants to be eating versus all that crap that slows down digestion. So eating real foods is tip number 2. All right, now let's move a little quicker. All right, so tip number 3. That is know your macros. So I gotta tell you, a lot of folks are saying, you don't have to track on keto and blah, 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 right? And meaning by tracking your food. So you don't have to keep a diary of what you're eating using MyFitnessPal or one of those apps showing what you eat every day. Honestly, I agree with that. I don't think that you have to for the rest of your life, being like now you're 90 years old and you're writing down everything you eat. That is ridiculous. No one wants to do that, right? That's hard and it's too hard to do, right? So we want to make it easy. We want to simplify it. So here's what you do. You're going to track your macros. You just have to know what that means for you, what that looks like, right? So 2 things. 1, you want to know how many calories you should be eating in a day, right? Because if there's so many people who are doing keto and like, why aren't I losing weight? They're eating like 5,000 calories a day because they're like, as long as I don't eat carbs, I'm good. So you're having like 17 burgers, right? Without the bread, like that's too much, So know how much you should actually be eating. And what I always actually suggest is to like literally track what you're eating at first, even if it's for a week. So you know how many calories you're bringing, you know how many carbs you're eating, how much protein you're eating, how much fat you're eating, because you don't want to go overboard. So when you're tracking what you eat, you actually can see what it is, and then your body starts to tell you. Then it's like, ooh, I can have this and not that. I know how much 4 ounces of steak is or whatever, right? You start to be able to see it from the eyes and also feel it in the body. But that's if you start to track. If you don't track and you're just like going for it, especially going from like eating regular stuff, like if you go to Wendy's or Burger King every day and then you go from that to I'm gonna be keto and not track, like it's skewed. You don't know how much you're eating currently. So really track for that first week so you'll know, right? And you'll understand, here's what I'm eating, here's how much I'm eating, here's how much I should be eating, and this is working for me. Once you see that, you'll start to see a shift, right? Then after that first week, you really don't have to track anymore. But always pay attention to the protein, because if you ever watched my videos before, you'll see how I talk about be sure that you're getting enough protein, especially as a woman over 35, because we lose muscle mass. I think it's like 3 to 8% of muscle mass a year is lost for women over the age of 35. So you're losing 3 to 8% of muscle mass a year. What helps to maintain that muscle mass is the protein. So you want to make sure you're getting enough protein in, a sufficient amount, right? And then you want to look at the fat as you don't have to go overboard. Like I know people are telling you to eat 70% of your calories as fat. You don't have to go that far. You want to use fat as a filler, right? Meaning fat should satiate you. You should feel so that you're not hungry. I do want to say though, there is a certain amount of fat that you want to make sure you're getting. So at least be getting 50 grams of fat if you're doing keto, right? You don't want to be down in like the 15 grams of fat. That is a little low, right? So still be getting a sufficient amount of fat, but you don't have to be at 70% of your calories being from fat. That's a lot, to be honest. Some do it and it works well for them. And, look at what's working for you, all right? Because all of this is individualized. So fat is Again, fat is limited. You want to make sure that you're getting enough, but you don't want to overdo it because also you can get a little nauseous eating too much fat if it's new to you, right? You can build up over time. Protein, you want to ensure that you're hitting that protein macro. You're getting enough protein to sustain that muscle mass, right? And then carbs, right? Carbs, keep them under 10%. Only 10% of your calories should come from carbs. This is how you can ensure that you're getting into ketosis. All right, so tip 4, right? Meal planning. Here's the thing, since we're on the topic of food, right? We just talked about macros and all that stuff, right? And eating real food. So tip 4 is meal planning. You want to ensure that you have an idea of what you're eating and you want to make it simple. So if you watch some of my other videos, my older videos, I share how I meal plan, and I'll continue to share that. Essentially, I make a big thing of meat and I add sides. Now remember, I have 4 kids and nobody else eats keto but me. I'm the only one in the house, right, eating keto. So what I do is I ensure that whatever I make a huge thing of meat. Let's say I'm doing chicken. I'll make a ton of chicken, and then I'll have some rice for them, and I'll have some vegetables. So then they'll have chicken, rice, and vegetables, and I'll just have chicken and vegetables, right? And it's simple, right? So I've made this ton of chicken. One day it's the chicken, rice, and vegetables. Another day I might make chicken, throw some eggs in it, make like a chicken egg quiche pie thing, or chicken and cut the chicken up and put it in the vegetables and mix that around. And now it's a chicken stir fry. There's so many options when you're thinking about meal planning like that. So the tip that I give here when it comes to meal planning is choose a protein, make a lot of it, and then make simple meals from that protein. You can do the same thing with a ground turkey or a ground beef. Super simple, super easy, and it gets done and you don't have to think about it. When something's that easy, you can stick to it. That's why we can keep the weight off for good this time. All right, so let's go on to tip number 5. All right, so tip number 5, and this one is tough for some folks. Get help, right? We always think that we can do things on our own. It's oh, you know what? I can lose weight by myself. I know what my body is like and all these things, right? We get into all these stories, but at the end of the day, it ain't worked so far, right? You've been trying to do it alone forever and it's not worked. That was my story, I gotta say, right? I was sitting there, I'd been on diet since I was 8 years old, some sort of diet or another. It didn't work until I was 37. And at 37, that's when I decided to get help. I literally reached out. I was in a boot camp. I was also doing some beach body workouts. And then I had some friends that we were all working together on our eating, learning how to do keto. Because remember, back then there were no keto coaches and workout weight loss coaching programs and wellness programs around. It was just what I'm figuring out, and then our personal trainer group program that we were in, and that was all I had. So I had my accountability group, and that was the help, right? Thank God that I happened to find one of my friends. She was a nurse and she was doing keto and she understood keto, right? And then that's how we created it. And since then, I was able to create programs for other women who wanted to get healthy through keto or low carb eating and exercise, right? And I was able to create programs like that. But 8 years ago, I didn't have anyone to help, any help. And it honestly was so much harder. And I the women that I worked with for years, they're like, oh, Ileka, you made this so simple for me, because they chose to get help. When you choose to get help, it's easier, right? If your car is broke, let's say your brakes go out, you aren't under the car doing, whatever they do under there, right? Fixing the brakes. No, you're you know what? Let me call the mechanic. Get help, whether it be a coach, whether it be a doctor's program, whatever it is, get help so that you can sustain the weight loss, right? And also get help with the mental piece of it, because there's a lot of mindset work when it comes to weight loss that people underestimate. So get that kind of help too. If you're gonna get someone to help you, connect with someone that's also working here and the body, right? And if you need help, go to ilekafalette.com. I often send tips, resources, strategies, and information from experts who still work with people on this journey, all right? So definitely go to ilekafalette.com and I can connect you with some folks as well. All right, tip number 6, that is hydrate. So you'll see people all the time talk about how, oh, I've got Charlie horses on keto and all these other things. Well, the biggest issue with that is because they're not hydrated enough, right? And actually tip 6 and tip 7 go together, because tip 7 is electrolytes, all right? Getting your electrolytes in, but I'll talk about that more in a second. But when you're on keto, basically your body flushes out all the water, right? You've got all these glycogen storages that are in your body that is like, hey, I'm holding on to water, I'm holding on to water, right? And it's expecting to be refilled with the carbs that you're eating, right? But when you stop with the carbs and it's just protein and fats for the most part, basically what happens is that glycogen storage begins to deplete and it flushes out. A lot of water goes with that, so you're peeing a lot. So you want to ensure that you're getting enough water in. For me, that's over a gallon of water, right? Just because my body just needs more water, it always has. For some, I always say stick to at least getting half your body weight in water. So if you are 200 pounds, you're getting at least 100 ounces of water in a day, okay? That's going to be super important to stay hydrated. On top of that, you get to figure out how to get that water in. What I always say is if you're right now only drinking like 40 ounces of water a day, in the morning, drink an extra 10 ounces of water as soon as you wake up. So keep 10 ounces of water by your bed, drink that, or 16, whatever it is, drink that up right as soon as you wake up. Now that's 10 ounces out of the way. Now you only got 90 left for the rest of the day. So just think about these tricks that you can do to get that water in. And then tip 7 is electrolytes, right? So for that, what you want to do is you want to ensure that you are getting enough sodium. I know people say don't eat salt, but when you are on keto, what happens is the sodium goes too, right? That's one of the electrolytes. So your body needs it. You want to avoid Charlie horses and things like that. That happens when you're not getting enough sodium, magnesium, and potassium, and calcium. And if you've heard people say, oh, I got the keto flu. Oh, I'm so tired. Keto wasn't for me. It made me drained and tired. Find out from that person if they were getting electrolytes in. They likely were not. And if they weren't, it affected their body, right? They got tired because they didn't have anything for their body to use, right? They were super tired. They got Charlie horses. That doesn't happen when you're getting your electrolytes in. So I'll share with you guys in the description of this video my favorite electrolyte. It's called Salt by Keto Chow and it's amazing. So I'll share a link for that in the video as well. All right, so tip number 8. Let's move forward. You know it's coming, right? Exercise. Okay, why is that important? All right, so we've all heard of that lady over there or that guy who said, I lost 100 pounds and I didn't do any exercising. I did it just with eating and sleeping, right? Sure, good for them, right? But here's the thing, at the end of the day, people ask me all the time how I lost the weight and didn't have a whole ton of excess skin. I'm gonna tell you it's because I was exercising. Exercise is super important when you're losing weight. If you want to maintain muscle mass and if you want to keep your skin intact, right? So I never had to have anything done with my arms or my legs or even up here, the only issue I had was I had a hernia and 4 C-sections, so I got that removed, right? That was gonna stay regardless. But if you look at like my videos, here it was always tight, right? I always had the 6-pack, always had the tight 4-pack, and had the tight abs because I exercised, and it included resistance training and cardio. So if you can ensure that while you're losing this weight, you get that exercise in, you get your resistance training in, you're lifting heavy, you're doing the things to stay on track. Plus, we just talked about women over 35 are losing 3 to 8% of muscle mass every year. Well, exercise, especially strength and resistance training, that helps to keep that muscle mass intact, all right? So sustain your muscle mass, get the workout and get the exercise in, all right? If you need help with that, again, IlekaFalette.com. I send tons of resources out there to you guys so that you have what you need to make this happen, all right? Now, tip number 9, last tip. Tip number 9 is kind of a favorite of mine, so I'll share it, right? So people are like, how do I do this keto thing and still live a lifestyle, right? I mean, do I need to be a hermit? Do I need to be at home all the time and do nothing and go nowhere? That's the only way to lose weight? And I'm here to tell you no, okay? You can do this while still getting out, right? While still going out on the town and doing things, right? So what I'm gonna share with you is, because I'm not a homebody, so I was out even while I lost 120 pounds, and even afterwards, as I maintained it over 8 years, I would go out, I traveled, I did all the things, right? So here is the kicker, right? When you're looking to go out, right? You still, every so often you wanna drink, you wanna do some different things. So I'm gonna give you a couple of tips on that. For drinks, right? I always say stick to like a nice wine, not a sweet wine. There is no mojitos or what's the Moscatos and Rieslings and stuff like that, go drier. If you can go a drier wine, like maybe a Chardonnay, or for me, I love a Pinot Grigio or Pinot Noir if you're going red, Cabernet if you're going red, like stick to those drier wines. They have way less sugar. There's also a company that I am connected with where I get my wine from, and I'll put the link in the description of the video. I think you can get like 10% off too. So that's where I get my wine from. There's no sugar in it. Or you can do a cocktail. And when I say a cocktail, I'm not saying the cocktail that you're gonna get at whatever bar or whatever you're going to, right? Or restaurant. You kind of create your own cocktail. I know. Nobody really wants to do this. I do it every time and I don't care. So here's what I do, right? I get vodka, ask them to add some lemon in it, some club soda, and then I add some stevia. I usually have my own stevia packs in my purse. Add a little stevia to that, or if you like monk fruit or something else instead of stevia, or sucralose, add that to it. I don't really like sucralose. I don't really do sucralose, but some people do. But you can add it to your drink. You have made yourself a whole cocktail. It's lime, it's club soda, it's vodka, it's tasty, and you're on a roll, right? Or you can do something like vodka and Zevia. Zevia is a soda that's made with stevia. Amazing, delicious, all set. So that is how you get to do it and go out and still enjoy life, right? So those are my 9 top tips for starting your keto journey, keeping it going, and staying on track and keeping the weight off for good this time, all right? I'm gonna do another video on transitioning for folks who are like, did keto, I did great, but I want to transition out. I'm gonna do another video on that because for some people it's not keto forever. So for some people it's just keto for now. All right. So enjoy. I hope you guys have a great week. See you guys in the next video, and be sure to go to ilekafalette.com and to subscribe to the newsletter. And oh, I forgot, free gift. When you subscribe to the newsletter, I'll send you a free grocery list for and some quick tips on getting started on your keto journey that you can print out. All set, you got a grocery list and you can go and get started. All right, so I'll see you guys in the next video. Be sure to subscribe, like the video, and I'd love to see you guys' comments in the chats. Let's keep it going. All right, take care. I'll see you next time.
Don't forget to subscribe. Be sure to watch my mom's next video.